"Within 7 days, you'll be forgotten," she declared at a family event, leaving me for her former boyfriend. Consequently, I totally vanished from her existence and elevated my life. Presently, she feels shamed, witnessing my success as she remains trapped in sorrow. Hello audience, prior to continuing with this content, kindly ensure you subscribe to the channel and press the like icon if you desire to view similar narratives. Appreciated. Anonymous identity, since shared acquaintances could identify this, and I wish to prevent past conflict from re-emerging. Everything transpired during the previous 2 years, and candidly, recounting it today feels like concluding a significant period. Should you seek a tale of disloyalty, subtle vengeance via prosperous living, and some gratifying retribution, prepare yourself. Allow me to commence at the very start. I am Alex, a software engineer in my late 20s professionally. I encountered Sarah during university, a graphic design student brimming with vigor and grand aspirations. We connected immediately. She was imaginative, impulsive, the type of individual capable of transforming a wet afternoon into an exciting escapade. I was notably more practical, the organizer, the individual, ensuring expenses were covered and contingencies existed. This suited us, or at least that was my perception. Initially, matters were excellent. We completed studies, cohabited in a moderately sized urban area where she secured independent contracts and I obtained a stable remote position. However, approximately 2 years later, her mother received a cancer diagnosis. The impact was severe: therapies, clinic visits, emotional upheavals. Sarah became distraught, which was completely expected. At that point, I ascended to responsibilities I had never foreseen. I relocated us into her parents' residence temporarily to provide assistance. I prepared food for all, transported her mother to chemotherapy sessions, managed the domestic budget when her father felt overly anxious to concentrate. My employment offered flexibility, yet I rejected an advancement necessitating moving since Sarah pleaded with me to remain nearby. "I require your presence, Alex," she would utter, her eyes tear-filled. "You are my unwavering support," recalling those evenings. I would stay up late programming following a complete day of chores while Sarah drew concepts in the lounge. I would offer her coffee, massage her shoulders, and hear her complain regarding the immense pressure. I gave up pastimes. Excursions with companions were canceled. Fitness routines became brief, at-home exercises. Still, it seemed correct. We constituted a unit constructing for tomorrow. Her mother's therapy succeeded, thankfully, and recovery arrived following an arduous 12 months. I believed we would emerge more resilient, but fissures began appearing even earlier. Sarah became remote. She would browse social networks compulsively, favoring updates from her former partner, Mike, an exciting salesman she'd seen prior to me. Indirect insults emerged. Mike might have driven me on an impulsive journey to refresh my thoughts, not merely casual relaxation. I would dismiss it as anxiety from her mother's sickness. "She's coping," I'd inwardly state. Yet profoundly, uncertainty confirmed itself. Why did I overlook these indicators? Was I overly concentrated on acting as the backbone that I disregarded her withdrawal? She began contrasting me plainly, continually presenting it as playful banter. For instance, during family meals, Alex is so dependable, yet occasionally I crave excitement. "You understand, Mike?" Specialized in unexpected gestures. Her relatives would titter uneasily, and I would feign a grin, considering it benign. Instead, it fostered this affective deterioration where I sensed myself as a secondary option, not the primary focus. She would also subtly influence minor matters, pressuring me into completing additional tasks. "Because you're superior at structuring," while she passed nights messaging unknown individuals. I invested all into our relationship, foregoing personal development, and she regarded it as anticipated rather than valued. The familial assembly ought to have been a festivity. Her mother's recovery celebration at their residence, an outdoor grill event with kin and some acquaintances. Inflatables, mirth, salutes, and fresh starts. I felt enthusiastic. I had even assisted arranging the burger barbecue and executing the helpful partner's part flawlessly. However, halfway through, Sarah drew me into the cooking area. Her gaze was icy, resolute. I detected exterior conversation, perceived the aroma of barbecue smoke. That moment, it dawned. "Alex, we must converse," she stated, folding her arms. Her tone was sufficiently audible that several insects in the adjacent chamber likely overheard. I assented, my spirit plummeting. "What's wrong?" She showed no reluctance whatsoever. "This relationship is failing. Mike has re-entered my existence. He contacted me during my mother's illness, and we have conversed. He understands me, stimulates me. You've been kind, caring for the household and everything, but you're merely secure. Tedious, in fact. I require ardor, not a protective barrier restraining my progress." I gazed at her, her statements striking like blows, holding her back.
Oh.
"After all my relinquishments," she continued, a self-satisfied smirk appearing. "Honestly, Alex, throughout my mother's ailment, you excelled at the mundane tasks, payments, errands, etc. However, Mike, you would have rendered it through, transformed it into an unforgettable experience, rather than merely tolerating it. I merit superior treatment now that circumstances are steady. I have matured past this. The reasoning felt like a sharp blade. Outgrown. I had paused my profession for her relatives. Deserved better, so my faithfulness represented a defect. And uttering it here at a familial gathering, overt disgrace in addition to the perfidy. Relatives were peeking, murmuring. Her father appeared uneasy, yet nobody interceded. "Are you serious?" I inquired, maintaining my tone composed. Internally, bewilderment stormed. How might she discard 2 years in this manner? Yet I would not plead. Absolutely serious. She chuckled softly as if it were inconsequential. "I will forget you within 7 days. Alex, Mike is genuinely important. He challenges me, inspires me. You served as a temporary substitute until a superior option appeared. Placeholder."
Oh.
The term resonated. Her former boyfriend, Mike, the fellow who previously abandoned her for excessive attachment. Now abruptly her improvement. She had been emotionally unfaithful, ceaselessly contrasting me with him, coercing me into believing it was mere joking. And now physically also, the indicators aligned. Evening messages, professional encounters emitting cologne scent. I sensed the injustice ignite. Following everything I had relinquished, this, but an explosion? No, an argument. Futile. "If that is truly your sentiment, Sarah, then we are finished," I stated placidly, no feeling penetrating. I retrieved my coat from the seat, acknowledged her relatives courteously as I exited. Uncomfortable stillness following me, and departed. No forceful closures, no shouting, simply dispassion. That evening, returning to our apartment, I gathered necessities. The quiet was overwhelming. I re-envisioned her statements, the self-satisfaction, the distorted rationalizations. How she had portrayed my assistance as an encumbrance, my steadfastness as frailty. Perplexity transformed into silent determination. This concludes immediately. I blocked her contact, social media, all connections. By sunrise, I was traveling towards a different city several hours distant. Accepting that postponed advancement to lead developer position, superior income, new beginning. I erased myself from her existence entirely. No farewell message, no conflict. She wished to erase me. Good, I would facilitate it. The initial weeks proved difficult. I would awaken, reliving the party, the external merriment while she destroyed me internally. The inequity felt profound. I had forfeited career advancements, companion excursions, my personal tranquility for her,
Yes.
and she reciprocated with treachery. Yet I did not retaliate. Rather, I embraced it, permitting the stillness to instruct me. Counseling aided, revealing how I had overlooked warning signs, how her deceptions had eroded my self-esteem. Gradually, susceptibility diminished. I intensely exercised, re-engaged with trekking, established a regimen solely my own. My career flourished. I guided endeavors that gained recognition. Over many years, I experienced liberation for the first time. Months elapsed in that new community, and I committed myself to reconstruction. The advancement included a prime office space, Metaphorically, as it remained partially remote, but directing a group on innovative initiatives seemed like a vital support. I programmed during daylight hours, trekked pathways on Saturdays and Sundays, the identical ones Sarah had derided as uninspired excursions for dull individuals. It appeared ascending a peak by myself refreshed my mind more effectively than any dispute ever would. I enrolled in a neighborhood fitness center, not for display, but for myself. Weight decreased. Self-assurance grew. Evenings were challenging initially, reliving her phrases from that kitchen placeholder safety net. The injustice persisted like an unpleasant flavor. My life paused for her relatives, merely to be cast aside like outdated reports. Perplexity evolved into silent fury. How had I allowed her deceit to continue? The incessant parallels, the coercion into further concessions while she observed her previous partner. Yet I did not reside in resentment. Rather, I confronted it, letting the stillness magnify. The teachings. Counseling appointments assisted in processing everything. Understanding I had been emotionally forsaken well before our separation. Sensitivity disappeared. Perspicuity arose. She instructed me on my value. I reflected one night observing a dusk view from a mountaintop. Now to expand upon that. Zero communication from my side. I had vanished entirely. A fresh telephone number redirected from the former, yet I disregarded all alerts. Online profiles secured or erased. Shared acquaintances received indistinct information. I'm fine. Relocated for employment. But news gradually permeated through informal channels. Roughly half a year after the split, an old friend texted, "Bro, Sarah's existence is collapsing. Figured you ought to be aware." It seems Mike, the thrilling ex, was not the improvement she had bragged of. He was wedded to begin with, a fact she had conveniently disregarded or remained ignorant of. Their liaison detonated when his spouse discovered messages. Confronting Sarah openly at a cafe close to her independent workplace. A shouting confrontation, pictures captured by observers. The entire scandal spread across neighborhood social networks. Mike's sales career also suffered a setback. Corporate turmoil from his repeated infidelity. It emerged Sarah was not his sole mistress, resulting in a reduction in rank and eventual resignation. He abandoned her abruptly, compelling her to manage the repercussions independently. Sarah's independent contracts diminished rapidly. Customers within the design industry are particular regarding renown. Rumors of homewrecker and unprofessional terminated agreements. Companions who had chuckled at her remarks concerning me, they withdrew when the reality emerged. Nobody desires such tenacious conflict. Her relatives were also stressed. Her mother, thankful for my assistance during the sickness, allegedly criticized her for the perfidy. Yet Sarah intensified, accusing everyone else. Loneliness commenced. She uploaded ambiguous, sympathy-eliciting posts virtually, I understood. I never checked, but engagement lessened. Monetarily, she disintegrated. Debts accumulated sans my uninteresting reliability to settle them. Retribution did not manifest instantaneously. It eroded gradually, plausibly stemming from her personal decisions. Concurrently, I flourished silently. Secured a secondary endeavor providing extra compensation. Encountered a lady named Emily at a trekking club. Intelligent, benevolent, devoid of trickery. We connected organically. No contrasts were necessary. Existence felt merited, not merely tolerated. The effort began near the 8-month point. Initially, an unfamiliar contact. Likely hers, a temporary one, as I had blocked the primary. A message. "Alex, it's Sarah. I miss you." Mike proved an enormous error. Could we speak? I comprehend now our fortunate past, gentle, wistful, as if she had only experienced a slight misstep. I gazed at the display, sensing only slight irritation. Remove. Yet she persevered. A subsequent one. "Please, Alex. Circumstances are difficult. Recall our pleasant moments. You consistently supported me." Progressed to phone calls, voicemail messages accumulating. "Alex, answer the phone." I erred. Mike was exposed as a deceiver. My existence is disintegrating without you. I require my stronghold again. Subsequently, the troublesome group intervened. Her sibling, Lisa, telephoned from her own device. A disrespectful, privileged demeanor I had ceased to recall. "Alex, this is Lisa. You are acting so trivial disregarding Sarah. She requires your presence immediately. Be a man and return her communication. Following all she endured with Mother, you are indebted to her." The insincerity stung, but I terminated the call mid-phrase. Blocked. Shared acquaintances also joined the movement. One messaged, "Yo, buddy. Sarah deeply regrets her actions. Do not behave like an ass. Grant her an opportunity to clarify." Another, "She weeps daily. Your disappearance is merciless, considering your past assistance." Disagreeable attempts to induce guilt mingled with condemnation, as though I had been the antagonist. I disregarded every message. Disconnecting was essential. An inner transformation occurred. Her statements no longer stung. They were mere clamor. Remnants of a history I had surpassed. Urgency intensified by the 1-year point. She must have extracted my current location from an indiscreet acquaintance, since she appeared at my previous residence initially. Discovered my relocation, then located the new community somehow. No immediate visit occurred, but electronic mail overwhelmed my inbox. She discovered my professional address digitally, beginning apologetically, "Alex, I apologize for everything." The party was dreadful. I felt bewildered, anxious. Mike influenced me. "May we convene? I realize now you were my true match." However, when no response materialized, the tenor turned irate, exposing her genuine character. "How dare you vanish from my life thus? You are pitiful for fleeing rather than contending for our relationship. I offered you opportunities during difficult periods, and now you are penalizing me, you dissembler." Distorted reasoning once more, portraying her infidelity as my culpability, her deceptions as openings. A single voicemail fumed, "You believe you're in a superior position? All right, proceed solo. Yet you will lament this when I regain prominence." Her insincerity was evident. The identical self-satisfaction from our split now infused with despair. Companions and relatives added further pressure. Her father even messaged clumsily, "Son, Sarah is in a dire situation. Speak with her." Disagreeable compulsion, yet I remained quiet. Serenity belonged to me presently. Why solicit disorder? Advancing roughly 18 months forward, a shared acquaintance's marriage in our previous metropolis. I contemplated attending but ultimately agreed. Emily supported it, and I refused to conceal myself. The location presented a delightful garden arrangement, fairy lights shimmering, merriment abounding. I appeared with Emily by my side, feeling calm, transformed. I observed Sarah across the greensward, solitary, untidy, compared to her typical refined appearance, sipping a beverage. Our gazes connected. She hurried over during the reception, her eyes imploring, "Alex." "Oh, goodness, it's you," she uttered, her tone quivering. "Please." Mike betrayed me repeatedly. Abandoned me penniless, subsequent to the controversy. Customers disappeared. Companions likewise. I recognize now you were my true match. I felt bewildered, deluded by his allure. "Forgive me. We could recommence." Insincere entreaty. Distorting her decisions into bewilderment, pleading presently where she had formerly rejected. I remained composed, resolute, devoid of pity, merely detached. A faint laugh escaped me, in a jesting manner, subtly ridiculing. "Amusing, Sarah? You claimed you would forget me in 7 days? It seems it required more time for you," I echoed her reasoning. "You merited superior." Well, I discovered it. Without the turmoil or contrasts, centered on progress, I have established a life here. A fresh position directing groups, treks that are not mundane, and indeed an individual who cherishes faithfulness. I gestured to Emily close by, conversing with attendees. The improvement evident, her kindness opposing Sarah's despair. She hesitated, tears forming. "But Alex, you are inconsequential now, Sarah," I stated calmly. "No sharpness, simply truth. My contentment excludes you. Best wishes in resolving your situation. I departed, uniting with Emily as companions congratulated us on our betrothal. Information we had privately disclosed. Sarah remained shamed, overlooked by the assembly who had previously supported her rationalizations. Control reversed. She felt desperate. I flourished. Retribution is genuine, everyone. I have advanced entirely, prospering while she remains immersed in sorrow. Postscript, I permanently blocked her that evening. She represents an instruction, not a detriment. If you find yourself in an analogous predicament, recall, self-respect prevails. Gratitude for reading. Appreciation for viewing. Ensure you subscribe to the channel and press the like button. What are your thoughts regarding this narrative? Express them in the comments.